I never thought I'd smile while watching my own funeral from the shadows of a rented black SUV. But here I was, lipstick smeared and heart pounding like a war drum. The preacher droned on about tragic accidents and a life cut too short, while my husband, clutched a handkerchief like it was his last shred of decency, tears streaming down his face for the cameras. And his brother? That smug bastard leaned in to whisper something to the crowd, his lips curling into the same grin he'd flashed at the reunion when he joked about me finally vanishing like a bad dream. If only he knew. I wasn't gone. I was right here, plotting to make every one of them vanish from my life, permanently. But let's back up, because nothing about this nightmare started with a body swap. No, it started with a betrayal so deep it carved out my soul and left me hollow, wandering the earth in someone else's skin. My name is Maya, or it was, until that rainy night in Chicago when everything flipped inside out. Now, I'm Elena Vasquez, a nobody from the South Side with a rap sheet longer than her regrets, and I've got 5 days to unravel the web before they bury me for good. It was the summer of 24, the kind of sticky heat that makes you question why anyone settled in the Midwest. My husband, Derek Harlan, came from old money. Harlan, as in Harlan Steel, the kind of name etched on half the skyscrapers downtown. We met at a charity gala in the Loop, me in a borrowed gown that hugged my curves just right, him nursing a scotch and eyeing me like I was the only real thing in a room full of fakes. He was charming, all broad shoulders and easy laughs. The second son who never had to prove shit because his older brother, Victor, was the golden boy running the empire. Victor. God, even thinking his name now makes my blood boil like cheap whiskey. Tall, slicked back hair, eyes like polished obsidian. The man who could charm a jury or bury a rival with a single phone call. At the family reunion that July, we'd all piled into the Harlan's Lake House up in Door County, Wisconsin. Pine-scented air, bonfires crackling against the water's edge, and enough bourbon to drown a small town. I was 7 months pregnant, belly swollen under my sundress, trying to play the perfect wife, while the Harlan women side-eyed me like I was the help who'd gotten lucky. That's when Victor pulled his little stunt. We were all around the fire pit, Esmo rays melting in the flames, when he raised his glass. To family, he said, voice smooth as silk. And to Maya, may she stick around long enough to give us a Harlan heir. Laughter rippled through the crowd, but his eyes locked on mine, dark and knowing. Then he leaned in close, breath hot with rye, and murmured, or maybe she'll just vanish. Poof, like she was never here. The words landed like a slap, casual cruelty wrapped in a joke. Derek chuckled awkwardly, squeezing my hand, but I felt it. The undercurrent, the warning. They didn't want me there. I was the outsider, the Latina girl from a broken home who'd snagged their boy. And that baby? It was leverage, not love. I laughed it off that night, blamed the hormones, but sleep wouldn't come. I tossed in the guest room. Derek had passed out after one too many, staring at the ceiling beams that creaked like old bones. Around 2 a.m., I slipped out for air, waddling down to the dock where the lake lapped black and endless. That's when I heard them, voices low and urgent from the boathouse, Derek's and Victor's, tangled with a third, some woman, sultry and unfamiliar. That can't keep this up, Vic. Maya's onto something. She asked about the prenup again today. Relax, little brother. The swap's already in motion. By fall, she'll be out of the picture, and Elena's debts? They'll bury her deeper than Lake Michigan. My heart stopped. Swap? Elena? I crept closer, phone clutched like a lifeline, hitting record as the door cracked open. Victor's silhouette loomed, phone to his ear. Yeah, the lab's ready. That experimental neural transfer shit, it's gold. We pin the embezzlement on her, swap her into that junkie's body, and boom. Maya's accident becomes Elena Vasquez's overdose. Clean. No traces. Embezzlement. My embezzlement, the one I'd taken the fall for 2 years back. I'd found irregularities in the Harlan accounts, millions siphoned to offshore shells, and when I confronted Derek, he swore it was a glitch. But Victor? He'd twisted it, made it look like I'd cooked the books to fund my lavish lifestyle. I confessed to protect Derek, thinking he was innocent, got probation and a slap on the wrist because of his family's lawyers. Buried secret number 1. I'd borne their crime, shielded the brothers from ruin. Now this, body swapping? Some black market tech, cooked up in a rogue lab funded by Harlan Cash. They planned to erase me, slide me into Elena's junky life, so I rotted away, while they paraded her polished corpse as the grieving widow. Betrayal didn't cut it. This was annihilation. I bolted back to the house, but panic clawed my throat. Call the cops? They'd own them. Flee. With what? My trust fund was locked tighter than Fort Knox. By dawn, I was in the car, speeding south to Chicago, mind racing. That's when the first wave hit. Dizziness, like the world tilting on its axis. I pulled over on I-94, gasping, and that's the last thing I remember before black. Waking up was hell. Not the soft hospital bed I expected, but a grimy mattress and a walk-up on the south side. Roaches skittering like confetti. My hands, not my hands. Calloused, track mark scarred, nails bitten to stubs. I stumbled to the mirror, and Elena Vasquez stared back. Hollow cheeks, stringy brown hair, eyes dulled by whatever poison coursed through her veins. 42, twice my age, a ghost of a woman who'd OD'd on fentanyl 3 times already. My baby, our baby, was gone, transferred seamlessly into whatever husk they'd prepped for me. I screamed until my throat shredded, but no one came. No cops, no Derek. Just a burner phone buzzing with texts from dealers. Where's my shit, Elena? You owe $5K. That's when the second realization slammed home. They hadn't just swapped us. They timed it perfect. My body, Maya Harlan, had vanished from the lake house, presumed drowned after a slip on the dock. Search parties, headlines, heiress missing amid family heartache. And Elena? She'd washed up in a Chicago ER, mumbling nonsense about conspiracies. Junkie paranoia. Case closed. But I wasn't done. Not by a long shot. Victor thought he was untouchable, the puppet master with Harlan billions at his fingertips. Derek, my weak-willed prince, complicit in it all for the inheritance he'd never earn on his own. The secret they'd buried? Not just the swap, but Elena, the real Elena, was Victor's mistress, groomed to replace me. She'd been the voice in the boathouse, the one whispering promises of luxury. Deep betrayal layered on deep. My husband pimping me out of existence for his brother's side piece. I had nothing. No ID, no money, no face the world recognized. But I had rage, pure and American as a .45 slug. And in this city of hustlers and ghosts, rage buys you time. First stop, a pawn shop for burners and burners for cash. I dyed my hair black, scavenged clothes from dumpsters, jeans that hung loose, hoodies to hide the unfamiliar curves. Elena's body was a prison, but prisons teach you to pick locks. By day 3, I'd hacked the dark web forums. God bless anonymous geeks and their grudge against the 1%. The neural transfer tech? It wasn't flawless. Reversals existed, buried in Russian code from defected scientists. Cost, $50K, wired to a Cayman account. I didn't have $50K. I had Elena's debts. So I leaned into it. Posed as her to the dealers, skimmed product. Flipped it on corners where the blues didn't patrol. Controversial? Hell yes. Dealing death to climb out of my grave. But survival's a bitch, and these streets don't forgive hesitation. Nights blurred into stakeouts. I tailed Derek from his Gold Coast penthouse, watched him mourn me at candlelight vigils, arm around Elena in Maya's body. She played it perfect. Demure smiles, a hand on her belly that should have been mine. Victor lurked in the shadows, his Bentley idling like a predator. He was the brain, the Mountie War, lawyered up, untouchable. But everyone has a crack. His? A gambling habit, high-stakes poker in underground clubs off Division Street. I infiltrated one on week 2, Elena's rep opening doors I'd rather kick down. Sat at a table with wise guys and tech bros, bluffing with hands that trembled from withdrawal. One enough to fund the reversal kit. Some jury-rigged helmet shipped in a plain box, instructions in broken English. But before I flipped the switch, I needed proof. Real proof, not whispers. So I broke into the lake house, post-reunion cleanup crew gone, rifling drawers till I found Victor's safe. Combo from a sticky note in his wallet, swiped during a chance bump at a bar. Inside, ledgers, encrypted drives, and photos, me and Elena side by side, pre-swap scans from the lab. And a letter, Derek's handwriting. Vic, I can't do this without you. Maya's poison, always questioning, always digging. Elena's clean. We start fresh. Poison. That's what I was to them. The outsider who dared dream. That night, I wired the evidence to a journalist at the Tribune. Anonymous drop, untraceable. But revenge isn't a leak, it's a blade. I donned the helmet in a flop house, wires snaking like veins, and initiated the reverse. Agony ripped through me, synapses firing like fireworks in hell. When the fog cleared, I was back, sort of. Not fully Maya, not fully Elena. A hybrid, memories fused, body a patchwork of aches. But my face? Maya Harlan's, staring from the cracked mirror. They'd buried the wrong shell. The funeral was tomorrow. I slipped into the city, ghosting through alleys, emerging in a black pantsuit swiped from a dry cleaner. Posed as a distant cousin, flashing a forged invite. There they were, Derek at the podium, voice cracking about eternal love. Victor in the front row, stone-faced, scanning the crowd like he smelled blood. I waited till the graveside, eulogies done, dirt pattering on the casket they'd filled with Elena's husk. Weighted with sand, the coroner bribed. As the crowd dispersed, I stepped forward, heels sinking in the mud. "Derek," I said, voice like smoke. He froze, color draining. Victor's head snapped up, hand twitching toward his pocket. "Peace? Panic button? You look like..." Derek stammered, eyes bulging. "Like your dead wife?" I finished, smiling that old Maya smile, the one that used to melt him. Gasps rippled. Elena, in my old body, clutched her pearls, face twisting from shock to fury. "Security," Victor barked, but I held up my phone, video from the boathouse playing loud. Swap. Overdose. Clean. The crowd murmured. Phones out, recording the unravel. Cops swarmed. My Tribune leak had lit the fuse. Victor lunged, but I sidestepped, whispering as he passed. "You joked about me vanishing, brother-in-law. Joke's on you." Handcuffs clicked. Derek begged, on his knees in the grass. "Maya, please, it was for us, for the baby." Lies. The baby Elena now carried? IVF, Harlan Labs, not mine. Another buried secret. They'd harvested my eggs pre-swap, implanted in her. My child, stolen twice over. As they dragged Victor away, spitting threats of lawsuits and "you'll rot, you bitch," I felt the weight lift. Controversial? I'd dealt drugs, hacked lives, maybe even killed a piece of myself in that reversal. But justice in America isn't clean, it's a street fight, and I'd won the round. Or so I thought. The squad car sirens wailed into the distance, but the real storm was just brewing. I stood there amid the tombstones, the autumn wind whipping my hair like Medusa's snakes, as the mourners scattered like roaches under light. Elena, no, the thing wearing my face, stared daggers, her manicured hand protectively cradling that stolen belly. "You crazy junkie whore," she hissed, low enough for only me to hear. "You think this ends it? Victor's got contingencies. Layers you can't touch." I leaned in, close enough to smell the Chanel No. 5 that used to be mine. "Sweetheart, I've been touching your layers since the day you crawled into my bed through my husband. Enjoy the view from the bottom." She recoiled, and I walked away, heels clicking on the path like countdown ticks. But her words gnawed. Contingencies. Victor Harlan didn't climb to Kingpin without escape hatches. Back in the city, I holed up in a no-tell motel off Cicero, the kind with hourly rates and walls thin as regrets. The reversal had left me jittery, phantom itches where Elena's tracks used to be, flashes of her memories bleeding into mine. Her childhood in Pilsen, fists raised against drunk uncles. Her climb as a Harlan escort, trading flesh for favors. It humanized her, almost. Almost made me pity the puppet they'd turned her into. But pity's a luxury for the living. I had work. The Tribune piece dropped at midnight. Harlan airs dark secret. Body swap conspiracy rocks Steel Dynasty. Front page, pixels to print, with blurred audio clips and safe photos splashed like confetti. Social media erupted. Maya vanished trending. Tinfoil hats clashing with blue-check outrage. Human trafficking via tech? One viral tweet screamed. Or just another rich family imploding. Derek's PR team spun like dervishes, but the damage stuck. Stocks dipped, board meetings leaked, Victor's arraignment set for dawn. I didn't sleep. Instead, I plotted the next move, controversial as hell, leverage. See, in Elena's head, I'd inherited not just scars but contacts. Shady ones. A fixer named Rico, ex-cartel with a grudge against the Harlans for stiffing him on a shipment. I met him at a taqueria in Little Village, steam rising from Al Pastor like war fog. "You, Elena?" He grunted, gold tooth flashing. Part of her, I said, sliding a photo of Victor's safe across the table. And I need dirt. The kind that buries a man alive. Rico laughed. A bark that turned heads. Harlan's owe me blood. Chica. Victor's got a vault in the loop. Off books, full of swap prototypes. Test subjects, runaways, debtors. Ghosts they experimented on before perfecting it on you. My stomach twisted. More buried secrets. More crimes I'd unwittingly shouldered. Those accidents in Harlan News, overdoses, disappearances, weren't random. They were beta tests. By noon, we had a plan. Break in at Harlan Tower, 3 a.m., using Elena's old maintenance codes. Controversial? Teaming with a gangster to rob my in-laws blind. Tense. Heart slamming like bass in a trap house. But power's a drug, and Victor had mainlined it for years. Time to cut the vein. The tower loomed like a steel phallus against the sodium-lit sky, security a joke to insiders. Rico's crew, 2 shadows and balaclavas, jammed cams while I ghosted the executive floors, keycard beeping green. Victor's office, mahogany and malice, walls lined with abstract art that probably cost more than my old life. The vault? Hidden behind a Basquiat knockoff, retinal scan bypassed with a contact from the dark web. Inside, horror show. Vials of neural fluid, glowing eerie under LEDs, dossiers on dozens, names, dates, disposal methods. One file mine. Subject, Maya Harlan. Transfer success, 98%. Emotional bleed minimal. Recommend termination post-air birth. Termination. Not just swap, erase. And Elena's. Asset integration complete. Loyalty implant viable. They'd wired her brain, puppet strings of code. I downloaded it all to a thumb drive. Rico's guys stuffing prototypes into duffels. Alarms wailed as we bolted, elevator shaft rappel, fire escape slide into the alley muck. Gunfire cracked. Victor's private muscle, tipped off somehow. Rico took a graze to the shoulder, cursing in Spanish, but we piled into the van, tires screeching toward the expressway. Dawn broke bloody over the lake, and with it, the arraignment circus. TV vans clogged the federal courthouse steps, protesters waving signs, justice for the vanished. I slipped in through service doors, disguised in a reporter's trench, stolen press pass, Elena's street smarts. Victor in orange, cuffed to the bar, eyes scanning like radar. Derek beside him, pale as milk, Elena hovering like a vulture in pearls. The judge called order, but I stood, voice cutting the hush. Your Honor, I have evidence. Gasps. Security lunged, but not before I tossed the drive to the bailiff, yelling, prototype files. Test subjects. It's all there. The Harlans built an empire on stolen lives. Chaos erupted. Victor's face cracked, a fissure in marble, rage, then fear, pure animal. You, he snarled as they wrestled me down. Elena, you traitoress. Maya, I corrected, spitting blood from a boot to the lip. And this is just the appetizer. They hauled me to holding, but the drive? It burned through servers like wildfire. By evening, feds raided Harlan Tower, seals slapped on doors. Victor remanded without bail, Derek crumbling under questioning. Elena? She vanished into protective custody, belly and all. My eggs, their future, now a bargaining chip. But as I sat in the interrogation room, rubbing wrists raw from cuffs, Detective Hale slid in, coffee-stained tie and skeptical squint. Maya Harlan, or whatever the hell you are. Walk me through it. Body swaps? Sounds like sci-fi bullshit. I leaned forward, eyes locked. Detective, in this town, the only fiction is believing the rich play by rules. I spilled it all. The reunion joke, the boathouse tape, Elena's memories fusing like bad acid. He nodded slow, scribbling, but doubt lingered. And the dealing? Rico's crew? That's on you, lady. We fish one monster, another bites. Controversial decisions? Yeah, I'd crossed lines. Armed robbery, alliances with killers. Tense. Sweat beaded as Hale's partner eyed me like fresh meat. But the truth was unraveling, thread by bloody thread. That night, alone in a cell that smelled of bleach and broken dreams, Victor's contingency hit. Lights flickered, a guard slipped me a note, reversal's temporary. Enjoy the dream. Panic clawed. Was it failing? Elena's itches intensified, visions of needles and neglect. I banged the bars till knuckles split, demanding a doc. Blood draw, anomalies, neural echoes. The swap wasn't reversed, it was bridged. Two souls in one shell, fraying at the seams. By morning, I was out on my own recognizance. Media darling now, the vanished wife returns. But the dark? It deepened. Victor from jail, whispering to lawyers. Appeals, countersuits. Derek suing for emotional distress, claiming I'd faked it all for headlines. Elena, relocated to a safe house, leaking stories of abuse from the imposter. I needed the kill shot. Rico called. Chica got a lead. Victor's endgame. A full wipe protocol, lab in the suburbs. Tonight, armed with a borrowed Glock, street rules, baby, and a heart full of American grit, I geared up. Shadows lengthening. Dramatic? Ride or die? The lab waited, humming with secrets that could end it, or end me. The lab squatted on the edge of Naperville suburbia, a nondescript warehouse masked as a biotech startup. Neurovant Solutions, the sign read, all venture capital gloss over Harlan Rot. Sodium lamps buzzed like angry hornets, casting long shadows on cracked asphalt. Rico's van idled a block away, his shoulder bandaged, but grinned feral. You sure, Maya? This ain't no pawn shop heist. Victor's goons guard that place like it's Fort Alamo. I checked the Glock's clip. Cold metal, heavier than regret. Sure as sin. He wants to wipe me? I'll wipe his legacy first. Elena's memories supplied the blueprint. Service entrance, keypad code from her training sessions. We'd fused enough for me to walk their halls in dreams. But tonight, it was flesh and blood. We moved like ghosts, Rico's crew fanning out, silencers coughing as they dropped 2 perimeter patrols. Non-lethal, mostly, zip ties and duct tape for the living. Inside, sterile white corridors hummed with servers, air thick with ozone and fear sweat. Alarms silent, jammed, thank God for hacker kids on the payroll. The core room, a cavern of blinking consoles, the wipe machine at center stage, a hulking MRI coffin rigged with electrode webs. Blueprints on a terminal confirmed it. Protocol Omega, total neural dissolution. Not just swap reversal, erasure. Souls scrubbed clean, bodies repurposed like rental cars. Test logs scrolled. Subject 47, a teen runaway, dissolved after glitching. Cost savings, 87%. My hands shook as I jacked in, downloading terabytes. Proof of atrocities, Harlan fingerprints everywhere. But footsteps echoed, heavy and deliberate. Rico hissed from the door. Company. 5, armed heavy. Go, I whispered. Get the drive out. Leak it all. He hesitated, eyes hard. You ain't Elena, but you got her fire. Don't waste it. Then gone, shadows swallowing him. They burst in, Victor's elite, ex-mercs with tack vests and no mercy. Lead guy, buzz cut and scar lip, leveled a shotgun. Down, freak. Boss wants you breathing for now. I dove behind the console, shots splintering plastic. Heart thunderous, I fired blind. Pop, pop, winging one in the thigh. He screamed, dropping, but the others flanked. Controversial? Firing on Americans in a lab coat's playground. Bullets whined like banshees, each near miss a brush with oblivion. Scarlip grabbed me, arm like a vice around my throat. Victor's got plans for you. Hybrid. Back in the box. Then poof, clean slate for the new Mrs. Harlan. New Mrs.? Rage ignited. I stomped his instep, twisted free, Glock barking point blank into his knee. Cartilage popped. He howled, collapsing. The last 2 rushed. I emptied the clip, one down gurgling, the other scrambling back. No kill shots, intentional. I wasn't them. Not yet. Panting, I dragged myself to the machine, slamming the emergency purge. Lights flared, systems winding down, data fried, prototypes sparking into blue fire. Victor's empire, reduced to silicon ash. But the cost, a graze to my side, hot and wet, blood-soaking silk. I staggered out, Rico's van screeching up, door yanking open. Drive. We peeled out, sirens distant but closing. ER first, stitches in a cash clinic, no questions for the right Benjamins. Then the safe house, a walk-up in Logan Square with bars on windows and bourbon in the fridge. News hit like a tsunami. Harlan Lab Inferno, body swap scandal escalates. Feds swarming, Victor's bail revoked mid-transfer. Derek in hiding, assets frozen. Elena? Cracking under interrogation, spilling about the loyalty implant. How Victor coded obedience into her neurons, turning love to leash. I should have felt victory, but the bridge in my brain frayed worse. Elena's voice echoed in my skull. Fight it, Maya. We're one now. Don't let them win by breaking you. Hybrid hell. 2 women, 1 war. Tense nights, sweating through sheets, debating in mirrors. Who am I? The heiress or the hustler? Both, maybe. Stronger for the scars. Week 4, the climax brewed. Victor's lawyer called. Truce meeting, neutral ground. A diner off Michigan Avenue. All chrome and pie smells. He wants to talk, the suit said over burner. End this madness. Madness. Pot, kettle. But curiosity, or closure, pulled. I went alone, Glock tucked in waistband. Elena's street, eyes scanning every face. Victor slid into the booth, cuffs chained to the table, jumpsuit clownish on his frame. No smirk now, defeat hollowed him. Maya, he said, voice gravel. Or Elena. Whatever. Sit. I did, coffee black and steaming. Talk. He leaned in, chains rattling. You think you won? That purge, cute. But the real swap? It's deeper. Derek wasn't the pawn. I was protecting him, from you. Twist incoming, air thickening. Me? I took the fall for your books. A chuckle, bitter. Books? Child's play. The secret? Your father. Ring any bells? Not the gardener you thought. Raul Vasquez, Elena's old man. Cartel runner. Owed Harlan millions. He hid you both. Twins separated at birth, insurance policy. When he died, Victor found out. I covered it up to keep you close, but you dug too deep. The swap? To save you from the truth. You're Elena's sister. Blood debt. They'd come for you both. Lies. Truth reversed? My world spun. Elena's memories surged. Flashes of a man with my eyes, gunned down in Pilsen. Twins. The baby, our baby. Derek's, but tied to cartel ghosts? Victor's eyes gleamed, hook set. Prove it, I demanded. He nodded to the suit, who slid a folder, DNA reports, pre-swap. Matches. Buried secret numero uno. My origins, twisted into theirs. Betrayal? Derek knew, married me to launder the debt through Harlan blood. The joke at the reunion? Not cruelty, warning. Vanish before they find you. Doubt wormed. Was revenge misaimed? Victor, the monster now martyr? No. Layers peeled, but core rotten. Bullshit, I said, standing. You experimented on innocence. My sister included. His smile returned, sly. Family sticks, Maya. Or vanishes together. I walked out, folder burning in my bag, mind a cyclone. Rico waited in the car. What now, boss? Now. The decision that'd haunt debates. Mercy or massacre. Call the feds with the folder. Expose all, let justice chew the bones? Or burn it. Let Victor rot on old charges. Claim my half-life in peace? Sirens wailed distant, a choice ticking down. Rain lashed Chicago like God's own tears, turning streets to mirrors of neon regret. I clutched the folder in Rico's van, leather seats sticky with tension, as wipers slapped a frantic rhythm. Victor's words looped, twins. Blood debt. Elena's echoes amplified. Memories of lullabies in Spanish, a father's rough hands braiding hair. 2 girls, split by bullets and borders, converging in Harlan hell. If true, my revenge wasn't just. It was fratricide, sister slaying sister through proxy. Burn it, Rico growled. Eyes on the rear view for tales. Or use it. But decide, Maya. Feds'll eat this alive, spit out bones. I stared at the DNA printout, ink blurring under drops leaking through the roof. Controversial? Handing over proof that could topple cartels and Harlans. But paint me as the villain who profited from family ties? Or torch it, let Victor's lies fester in jail, and rebuild on ashes? The baby, my eggs in Elena's, kicked in phantom, a ghost demanding blood or bond. Drive to the lake house, I said finally. One last pilgrimage. Door County at night was a black void, pines whispering conspiracies. The dock where it had started creaked under my boots, water lapping like accusations. I built a pyre, folder, prototypes swiped from the lab, even the burner with Victor's voice. Matches flared, paper curling to embers. Flames danced, illuminating the truth I'd half believed. Victor's contingency wasn't tech, it was doubt. Plant the seed, watch self-destruction bloom. But as ash swirled, headlights pierced the dark, tires crunching gravel. Not feds. Derek's Porsche, slewing to a halt. He stumbled out, rain-soaked, eyes wild. Maya, I saw the news, the meeting. God, you're alive. We can fix this. Fix. Laughter bubbled, hysterical. Like you fixed our marriage? By swapping me out for my sister. He froze, then deflated. Vic told you. Yeah, the DNA. It came up after the wedding. Cartel hit our dad left debts. Marrying you tied it off, blood for blood. But I loved you. Swear. The swap was Vic's idea, to protect the baby from retaliation. Lies layered thick. Elena's memories supplied counter. Derek's late nights, not business but insurance, payments to shadows. Protect or possess? You harvested my eggs, Derek. Turned me into a broodmare. He stepped closer, hands out. Please. Elena's cracking. Says you're the same, fused. The baby's coming soon. We could raise it together. Family. The word twisted like a knife. Family. The reunion joke, Victor's grin, the boathouse whispers. Betrayal's core, pulsing. My hand found the Glock in my coat. Rain slick, but steady. Tense air crackled, thunder rumbling approval. Derek saw it, backed up. Maya, no. Think, the kid. Kid. My thumb. Trigger finger twitched. Controversial decision. In the line here, on this dock. Or let it live, tainted? Shadows lengthened. Rain mingling with tears. Mine? Elena's? Ours. Bang. Not fatal. Grazed his arm, spinning him into the shallows. He splashed, gasping, blood blooming dark. Why? Not vanishing, I said, voice steel. Evolving. I zip-tied him to the dock post, phone dialing 911 anonymous. Husband in distress, Door County Lake. Gunshot. Let him explain to cops, the media vultures. Back in the city, the fallout cascaded. Victor's trial ballooned. New charges from the lab purge leaks. Test subjects' families crawling out like zombies. Elena went public, tearful presser. I was coerced. Maya, my sister, she's fighting for us all. Spin or sincerity? The implant frayed her, truth leaking. Derek hospitalized, babbling about mistakes, prenup voided in scandal. Me? I vanished for real this time. Not swapped, but sovereign. Rico fronted cash from flipped product. We bought a dive bar in Pilsen, renamed Vanished Dreams. Neutral ground for ghosts. Ex-subjects nursing beers, swapping stories. Elena reached out post-birth. A girl, Isabella, dark curls like mine. Visitation? Tentative, a bridge not burned. But the twist lingered, debatable to the end. Was Victor's tale truth, making my revenge a cycle of blood? Or masterful misdirect, the powerful man's last gambit? I chose not to know, burned the folder, buried the doubt. America rewards the ambiguous, heroes in gray, villains in boardrooms. Months later, at Isabella's baptism, neutral church, no Harlans. I held her, tiny fist clutching my finger. Elena watched, eyes soft. We're free, she whispered. Free? Or fused forever? The priest intoned blessings, but I heard Victor's laugh echo faint. Revenge is high, euphoric crash. Happy, in fragments. Tragic? For the old Maya, yes. But this hybrid? She raised a glass to the shadows, toasting the vanished. And somewhere, in a supermax cell, Victor plotted sequels. But that's another story. For now, the dock's empty, the lake still. Vanishing's in when you stop running. Epilogues in Chicago don't tie neat. They fray at edges, threads pulling you under like the river's current. A year post-doc, and the Harlan names a punchline, Steel Magnolias. The Fall, Netflix documentaries raking Emmys off our bones. Victor's appeal denied, life in ADX Florence, whispering to walls about the sister's curse. Derek? Divorced Elena in a settlement that left him scraping condos in Schaumburg, arm scarred, as reminder. He sends cards to Isabella. Uncle Derek loves you, but they're fuel for the bar's fire pit. Vanished Dreams thrives, a haven for the swapped and scarred. Rico mans the door, sling swapped for a prosthetic gleaming chrome. Business good, hybrid. He toasts nightly, shots of Herradura burning clean. Patrons trickle in. A runaway coder with glitchy memories, a debtor erased but rebuilt. We swap stories, not souls. Therapy in tequila, catharsis in blues riffs from the jukebox. Elena's my shadow sister now, apartment 2 blocks over, Isabella toddling between us. The fusion? It stabilized, neural scars like tattoos, her street cunning sharpening my heiress edge, my fire tempering her fractures. We don't talk Victor's folder. Some truths dissolve better than data. But nights, when the girl sleeps, we sit on fire escapes, city humming below, debating the what-ifs. Was it worth it? She asks once, cigarette glow highlighting lines that mirror mine. Worth the blood? The deals. I counter, exhaling smoke toward the Sears, Willis, Tower, its lights mocking our small victories. America's a machine, Elena. We oiled it with ours. She nods, pragmatic. And the baby? Our blood debt paid. Isabella's the twist reversed, not stolen, but shared. DNA says sisters, hearts say mothers. Controversial? Co-parenting a cartel ghost grandkid in Wicker Park, dodging paparazzi and old grudges. Whispers of retaliation, shadows in alleys that might be Merck's or memory. The climax is echo, that dock shot, replayed in dreams. Derek's plea, the splash, my fingers tremble. I could have ended him, clean kill, no witnesses. But mercy's the real controversy, debatable as gun laws at a tailgate. Let him live, a walking warning. Betrayers don't vanish, they limp. Victor's last play came in a smuggled letter, scrawled on contraband paper. Family's the ultimate swap, Maya/Elena. You think you won? The girl's next, insurance. Bullshit, mostly. Feds shredded his network. But it plants seeds, keeps the tension coiled. I frame it behind the bar, yellowed warning, jokes eternal. Now, on quiet shifts, I pen this. First-person testament, 5,000 words of unravel. For the docuseries? Nah. For us, the vanished who returned. Hook's the same. I smiled at my funeral, but the real shock? Surviving it means smiling through the mirror at two faces, fused and fierce. Derek shows once, rain slicked again, nursing a scotch at the end of the bar. Maya, he starts, voice cracked. Can we? No. I say, sliding his tab. Vanish, Derek. Poof. He does, tail lights fading into the loop's glow. Elena scoops Isabella from the back, curls bouncing. Story time. I nod, lifting the girl. Once upon a Midwest heatwave, two sisters swapped more than bodies. They swapped fates. She giggles, tiny hand in mine. Happy. In the hybrid way, scarred, stubborn, American as apple pie a la mode with a side of vengeance. Tragic? Only if you bet on the Harlans. The door jingles. New ghost. Eyes haunted. Heard this is the place for. Returns. I pour a double. Pull up a stool. We've all been there. And the night rolls on. Tensions easing into dawn. Vanishings? They end when you claim the story.